the rule. Like at the running club, you don't show up, you're president.
That's right. All right, we will call to order the Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, July 6th. If we can start with roll call, please.
Chair Dennison.
Here.
Commissioners Moran, excused absence. Petzner,
Here.
Simcock,
Here.
and Yo.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. I think are these two out of order? Or are we supposed to do the agenda first? Or does this come? I guess it doesn't matter. Rotation of chair and vice chair. So we will nominate a chair and vice chair to serve the term from July 2023 to June 2024.
Left, right?
I might recommend either, and I'm willing to serve another term, and then maybe Commissioner Pevsner as vice chair, so that we can give everybody a year to get under their feet.
That sounds great.
Somebody will nominate that.
Okay. Then I nominate Tom Dennison as the chair.
Second?
Do you have to nominate yourself as the vice chair?
No, somebody else's job.
Somebody else want to nominate, and we'll consider them simultaneously?
Sounds good. I'll make
Yep.
a motion that Commissioner Dennison be the chair and the vice chair would be Commissioner Pevsner.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Is that okay? City attorney?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the easy part of the agenda.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Approval of the agenda. I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as put forth.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Next item of business is approval of minutes of the June 1st, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. Does anybody have any edits they would like to see for those minutes?
You're not.
All right, then I will look for a motion to accept as presented.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next up is the council liaison report.
Christine Lowe, City Council member. Just to give you guys an update, we took your advice on the noise and morality code, is that what they were calling it? The code that we were talking about with the leaf blowers and such. And we did send it to Natural Resources to have them take a look at it, and then they'll have their suggestions for council coming up, probably in August.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
No.
Thank you. All right, at this time, any person may address the Planning Commission concerning an item that is not on the agenda. The Commission welcomes your attendance and participation. When addressing the Commission, please begin by providing your name and address for the record. Please keep comments to no more than 3 minutes to assure an orderly and timely meeting. Seeing no comments, we'll close the community input. Next up is our public hearings and disclosure of site visits and ex parte contacts.
I did not have any contacts with anyone while visiting the sites.
I visited both sites today, but no contact. Sorry.
I didn't go to the Baldwin Court site, but I was on Baldwin numerous times passing the tea house project. But no contact.
I've been to both those sites previously and had no contact. All right, so first we have a hearing, discretionary demolition permit 22-03 and design review permit 23-02 to allow demolition of an existing commercial structure and replace with a new 2,643 square foot, 2-story commercial structure for the establishment of a tea house on the property located at 94 North Baldwin Avenue. Do we have a presentation from staff?
We have a staff presentation. I'm sitting in for Senior Planner Claire Lynn, who prepared this report and has been the project manager for this project. As I'm sure some of the commissioners have seen, recall this project, different architect now, same property owner. This is, again, also a tea house, restaurant, and gallery space, and we'll see some of the details of that as we go through the presentation. The applicant is requesting a discretionary demolition permit, which is required by Sierra Madre Municipal Code for any building that's 75 years of age or more. And so we are processing that discretionary demolition permit. They're also applying for a design review permit, which is also required for any new construction in excess of 1,000 square feet. And the project is also categorically exempt from CEQA, as it involves a structure not exceeding 10,000 square feet in size. The property is zoned commercial as well as its land use designation. Fairly small lot, 7,500 square feet, built in 1933. Building is 90 years of age, and we required an historic resources report to be prepared. Under criterion B, architecture, it is not eligible for designation. It's not a significant building. Under criterion A, which is historic, it is eligible for designation. Essentially, in the conditions of approval, we are requesting that a plaque be placed at the project site and the historic resources report placed in the library archives. And the reason why it's culturally significant or historically significant is its association with Dr. William Groth, who was one of the first physicians in Sierra Madre and actually opened up the first hospital in Sierra Madre just north of the site. A few site photographs of the adjacent uses. So the project site located in the middle. The image to the left is the Creative Arts Group building, and the building to the right is a two-story commercial building with tuck-under parking under the building. And in terms of the building height analysis at the street front, from the roof line to natural grade, not the lowest point of grade, but at the far northern corner is 20 feet 2 inches. The building overall at the lowest point of grade at the rear of the structure is just over 28 feet. We'll see that in a number of sections. Again, neighborhood proximity, we have the Bethany Church and the school across the street. At the corner of Baldwin Avenue and East Highland Avenue is the Frontier communication structure. And then you see immediately to the south of the project, again, that two-story commercial building. We are looking at a topographic map of the existing site, which will be demolished in its entirety, and reconfiguration of the parking lot, which provides 7 parking spaces. The broad project data identifies the various requirements, zoning requirements, and it meets code in its entirety, including lot size, really with no change. Lot coverage increase slightly by 8% to 39%. The code does allow lot coverage at 80%. The floor area, in comparison to the old building to the new, increased slightly at 287 square feet. So minimal increase in size. Setbacks, front setback increased slightly to accommodate outdoor patio dining at the street front. And also the property to the side setbacks to the north is built to the property line as was existing. To the south, it increased slightly to 21 feet, largely to accommodate the requirement for the fire access of that driveway, a 20-foot minimum requirement. Rear setback went from 74 feet to 15 feet, which is still code compliant, and they're providing the required 7 parking spaces, including 1 handicap accessible space. The site plan, you can see the building located in the center with the crosshatch, and flanking that volume are 2 wood decks. Actually, it's a synthetic material, most likely a Trex material, that offers outdoor dining opportunities. The one to the east, still looking at the top site plan, is an outdoor deck that also has an elevator for accessibility purposes and stairway as well. And then there's the tuck under parking with 5 spaces below the building, 2 spaces in open air. You see the handicap accessible space right here, and the path of travel and the elevator. And there you see the 20-foot wide driveway. There's also a small program of basement and storage space underneath the building. This is an analysis of the exiting plan, so it does show movement through the building. At this point, this is a street, Baldwin Avenue, that wood deck. It also has an access ramp for ADA purposes, and that goes right through the building out to the steps or the elevator. The T space kitchen also has a path of travel that shows path of exit in case of an emergency. There is one additional exit, an entrance into the basement and storage area. And again, here I'm notating the 20-foot fire access driveway. Grading plan and LID. So concentrating on the basement plan, you can see within the driveway there is a catchment basin located in this area here to capture all water on site. And it all naturally drains to this location. If there's also a pump that would move the water out towards the street if it exceeded capacity. The floor plan and roof plan. The floor plan on the top, again, we are looking at the outdoor spaces, front and rear, and the interior program, which has seating and dining opportunities across the north side of the building. There are skylights, as you can see in the roof plan, solar panels. The kitchen program, T program, is all located to the south of the building footprint. Street facing elevation, or the west elevation, as shown, and its proximity to the adjacent buildings. Similar style in reference to the gable roof, the outdoor patio and access ramp that leads into the building. And then on the north facing or here's a street front. So this is the south facing elevation, the driveway. And that's a container area for the trash receptacles, which closes with gates. And then these are the parking spaces below the building, and alongside here you see the stairs accessing the rear deck. AC equipment, mechanical equipment is concealed behind the gable roof and this parapet gable to conceal a lot of the mechanical equipment in that location. The south elevation showing the access ramp up to the deck, and then the north elevation adjacent to the Creative Arts Building. Again, we're looking at street front here, and all the way back here is the rear deck. Sections of the project and longitudinal sections. Again, looking at street elevation to rear elevation. This is the 3D renderings of the project, including a material board, is what you see as callouts. Starting from the far left is anodized aluminum storefronts, storefront windows and doors in dark grayish black color. The next panel to the right of that is a sand finished stucco in white decking material, synthetic decking material, tubular steel guardrails, standing seam metal roof, accent color used on the elevator tower and other components of the building. And there's also an art wall that you see in this panel. It's located behind the building and in between the elevator shaft, and then the anodized aluminum doors. Interior simulations showing the space with tall gabled ceilings, open air plan, tea room at the bottom. You see the open kitchen and then the tea bar on the other panel to the far upper right, and then just the seating opportunities throughout the space. Street elevation and aerial view. And additional photo montage. Again, tea room, restaurant, gallery. So the Planning Commission is required to make findings not only for the design review permit, but also for the discretionary demolition permit. And this is a summary of those findings. And staff has found that the project is not eligible for local, state, or national historic significance under criterion B, architectural. However, the site is significant under criterion A, historic. A commemorative plaque shall be installed at the site, stating that the property was originally owned by Dr. George W. Groth, a person of significance in the local history of Sierra Madre. The project will also comply with requirements for demolition, including limitation to construction hours and recycling of materials and so forth. It also complies with the objectives of the general plan specific to commercial uses regarding activation of street and offering other uses at the site, such as encouraging restaurants and so forth. And also, the project will meet all the requirements of the building code, fire code, and the city zoning code. The design review findings summary. Again, under the objectives and policies of the general plan, which does encourage developing new commercial structures, encourages the development of restaurants, and also businesses that attract visitors to the downtown area. The replacement project is compliant with all required setbacks, and the project utilized the existing landform to create a single-story appearance on the street front elevation. Continuing on with the design review summary findings, the architectural style is well proportioned and enhances the Foothill Village setting. It is compliant with all development standards and does not modify the existing traffic pattern. And the architecture demonstrates a compatible design throughout all building elevations. The alternatives before the Planning Commission this evening is to approve the application for discretionary demolition permit and design review permit. You can also modify the applications with any critique that you might want to impose. You can deny the request, but citing the findings why you feel the project should be rejected based on the findings, or you can continue it to a date certain. Staff is recommending that the project be approved, both for the discretionary demolition permit and design review permit. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
What happens to the water in the catchment basin?
So in any catchment basin, it all percolates through the ground, but if it, say it overflowed, it was about to overflow, then it triggers a pump and that gets pumped into the street. That would be true for any catchment basin project throughout the city.
It's usually a perforated pipe, right?
Yes.
That has holes in the bottom, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big one under Kirsten Court now.
Yeah.
You weren't there when they dug the hole.
It's a big one at my house.
Yeah.
All right. And did the applicant want
Yes, we have
to
the applicant is here, and if they wanted to add to the presentation or answer any questions that you might have as well.
Does anybody have questions for staff before we check with the applicant?
Actually, I do. The rear setback is at 15 feet.
That's code compliant.
So some of the neighboring ones, were they just built before that code, or what was, because they're all the way to the back on some of those.
Yes, some buildings are built property line to property line. And that's just the nature of the makeup, but they're code compliant to the 15 rear setback.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. If the applicant would like to, optional, they may come forth and add on to that presentation.
I don't know. Do I need this? My name is Wendy Lau. I'm one of the managing member of our company Ace Tea, aka Tea Stay. That's the name of our restaurant name. It's gonna go called Tea Stay. And Kathy, she's also another managing member on our team. And this is actually our second time attending the public hearing. You know, many years ago, after the pandemic, we actually reevaluated our project and assemble a new architectural team to really bring a fresh perspective to this project. And we believe the new design really will significantly improve the property value and also elevate the dining experience here in Sierra Madre. And really our mission, really similar to our last time. I know many of you probably are not part of our last hearing, but it's really wanted to create a health-conscious consumer and tea lovers made-to-order tea drinks, food, and pair with tea and premium natural loose tea leaves with artistic, innovative tea wares and in a modern gallery setting. And our business model really is to design a seamless, integrated outdoor seating area with flexibility of hosting private events indoors. Unlike any other restaurants, Tuesday is an experience store for customers to learn about our products creation via food, drinks, or cooking demonstrations. Therefore, we're hoping Tuesday will make Tuesday a consumer go-to place for consumption of art appreciation events that are related to tea. So Kathy and I both are business professionals, and we with dedicated and diverse experience in marketing and advertising, project management, and finance operations. So we're really wanted to make our passion for love of tea into our business plan for this project. And due to the pandemic, I know retail and restaurant business are facing many challenges, but we feel that with innovative solutions such as contactless payments, online ordering, outdoor delivery services, curbside pickup, we think that we can meet the changing customer expectations while ensuring operation efficiencies and profitability. So today's hearing marks a pivotal moment in our journey. We believe our proposed plan will not only contribute to the success of our business, but also play a role in stimulating local economic activity, create job opportunities, and further establish Old Town Sierra Madre as a vibrant destination with additional culinary options to delight residents and visitors alike. That's it.
So you're going to have food as well?
Yes.
Okay. And
Any
that's-
other questions?
Yeah, I have another one. Two of us were here on the original approval. So, couple questions. The topiary in the front, I thought was a great artistic adaptation for the existing property. What?
You mean the green wall?
Well, but it was supposed to, I believe it was going to be like what's the plant in Japan?
Living wall?
Yeah, the living wall. Yeah, but it was
Yeah,
like a topiary. I
it
think
is.
It's gonna be like a,
It is quite expensive I mean, we did some research. It is quite expensive to build a living wall with that size. Maintenance is also expensive with all the labor costs going so high right now. That's why when we revisit it, we will definitely put some living plants on the wall right now, but it's not going to be the entire wall. We'll definitely have some greeneries on that wall for sure.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No.
So I'm assuming your limitation on square footage was based on parking. Is that
Correct.
okay? Are there any thoughts of putting any kind of shade for the outdoor spaces?
For outdoor, in the back and the front, we definitely are thinking about utilizing the portable umbrellas for shading,
Okay.
but not like covering, because otherwise you will not see the front facade.
Yeah, yeah. It's always a struggle though. Outdoor eating areas are great, but man, when that heat hits you, it's like. But okay.
California weather.
If parking weren't a concern, would you have built a larger building?
We would love to, but because of parking,
like a
we
waste.
couldn't really. We were restricted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we also thought about, originally was the driveway change, because currently the driveway is much smaller, but we have to accommodate the request from the city, so that also make the building a little smaller as well.
Rather than apply for a variance?
I don't know. I don't know about the details.
So, hi, my name is Wayne Ho. We're the architects from Tech Design Work for the project. Perhaps I can answer that question. During the design phase, after knowing the unique program, and absolutely I agree with you, if this building program could grow a little bit bigger, it have more room to do more activities. However, because of the overall massing, that if we gotta make it bigger, not only that we are running into situation on the parking, but also making this building even much, much longer because the existing site is quite narrow. So we carefully study that and choose, instead of making a enclosed program space, we introduce this large open space in the front as well as the back, and using a portable umbrella versus a permanent structure in covered living wall. We still have the living wall concept. That's why we have it in the front. On the side, when you walk up to the stair, you will see a artistic living wall right there. And then also it allows to open up the front courtyard where you can, when you have a bicycle, you can maneuver park your bike. We can rearrange the umbrella, whatever it is, whatever we need. And then at the back, we also kind of choose to either put some umbrella there or just like leave it as open space where people can kind of chill and just kind of relax. So it kind of gives us a little bit more flexibility here and there.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicants?
I'm okay.
All right, thank you. I guess public comment before we bring it back to the commission for discussion. So at this time, anybody who would like to come forth and speak on this agendized item may do so. Please cite your name and address for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gwen Robertson. I live at 170 North Colburn. I'm also executive director at Creative Arts Group, and we are thrilled with this building. I can't tell you. It's my greatest personal concern is how much money I'm going to spend there. So I think it looks fantastic, and we are so grateful for the way it fits in with the building. I have one challenge. Our fire suppression sprinkler system is only accessed on that south wall. And it is under our ramp, which was put in with what I've heard was quite a bit of negotiation with the fire marshal and things to be accessed at the back end of that building. So it's on the lower level, right at the parking level, right at the end of where the building goes, is the only hatch access that was at the side of our building to access the fire suppression system. That's my concern, and our
Is it
legal.
15 feet from the back of the property line?
No, it's right in the middle.
On the middle.
So we are asking not to be unduly burdened with that, to have some kind of access to that one lovely hatch, which goes to and evidently it was quite an issue when it was put in negotiating with the city and the fire department of how that access would go. And that was where it was put. It's in it's under that ramp.
How long ago was that done?
1992.
Before the last general plan? Two general plans ago.
So that is our only concern. We are thrilled with the building, and we are seeking to somehow maintain some kind of access to that one door. I don't know.
You guys want
All
to
right.
address it?
Actually, this is public comment, so we can't allow a back and forth, unfortunately. But
That's
but
the end of my comments.
Thank you.
Again, we're thrilled with the building and the neighbors, and to have that site developed just sounds fabulous.
great, thank you. Is there any other public comment at this time? All right, hearing none, we can return it to the commission. Who would like to start?
Mr. Chair, can we ask that, since they probably have a solution to this, to address it so we can get their input?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We just can't have a conversation, is my understanding of public comment.
Yeah, I just want their input because it looks like there's sort of an answer to that, because I wouldn't know how to answer it other than,
Yeah,
I would have
Yeah.
referred it back to staff and asked staff to
Yeah.
handle it
I'm
at
kind
staff
of lost
level.
on where this, it's a valve, I would imagine.
Yes.
Where
So-
is it?
I would defer this to the architect.
Okay.
See if we can see that on some of the exhibits,
Yeah.
exactly where it
You
is.
could point it out.
yeah.
Well, there's a notch in that building, and it's probably like right in halfway point of their second parking lot or parking space. Because there's this big notch that comes through that other building.
Oh, is that where
So
it
it's
is?
probably right here.
Can't they still get to that?
Yeah. So
I don't see a,
What page are you on? Sorry, what page were you?
I'm on page 46,
Okay.
the basement level.
Okay.
I mean, they'll just have to put in a big access door in their CMU wall or so.
Is it in the plans, though?
No, it doesn't show it, but I think that's probably where it is.
Watch my Presby.
I mean, do we usually just suggest? Yeah, I think it's probably.
can't they
right
still
here.
get there? I don't see why it's over here then.
So we can certainly refer this back to staff to explore as part of the approval process to ensure that there's sufficient access to that. I think that would be required no matter what for but for the fire department to sign off on the plans, correct?
Yes, that would be under the fire department authority as part of plan check. So the basement level parking area, there is a block wall between the two structures. So you would not be able to access it from the proposed project site, right? I see an access ramp on the creative arts side. So I'm not sure exactly where that,
Literally runs underneath the ramp. The ramp was built and it was put underneath the ramp.
so how would a fire department even be able to access it, even with the prior building?
Right now, it's at the end, it's right where the building ends, it's like 3 feet, it's 3 feet east of the end of the building.
3 feet east.
It was an open area, and
Mhm.
that's where they.
3 feet east of the end of the current
building.
building. Okay. Oh, okay.
Directly, where you see the ramp
the
come
rear,
up where it
yeah.
ends,
Oh.
right beneath that.
So I'm not, it's not a fire department connection.
So it's the fire suppression system access.
Okay, access panel. So there's not another opportunity to access it from within the building?
No, it's
I'll defer that to the fire marshal during plan check.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. So we can list that as one of the criteria for approval to make sure that
And
that's
they can
handled
work
by
out the financial.
And they'll work
whatever
out
they need to do,
all of
yeah.
that. Thank you.
So having said that, then I can continue.
Yes.
No, I think this is it's a fine update of what they were trying to do. I don't have any problem with the design. I thought the other one was a little more creative, but I understand that they're still staying with the original conditional use, and it's a use of the property. It's been sitting there, fallow and vacant, and the sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned. I can make all the findings.
I didn't see the previous iteration, but I like this one. It seems to fit with the city. I like the decks on both ends. Nice, open. Seems like a place I would probably enjoy to go, which helps. Yeah, other than adding something to be able to access fire systems, somebody else, the fire marshal, we can have that figured out. I'm sure there's got to be a solution to it. Otherwise, I have no problems with it. I think it's good.
I also find the project to be in keeping with the existing sort of the massing that's happening on either side, or one side at least. I know that you're restricted by the parking and the square footage that you can bring in. I think it's going to make for a nice space. Just a suggestion that I would maybe make to you is, I see that right now that from the street level entrance to the building itself, it's about 2.5 foot or 2 feet difference, and you're stepping up to it, which is why you have the ramp that comes up. If you can, I would probably try to take a look at trying to eliminate that ramp as much as possible and maybe bring it down. I see your floor to floor is about 10 feet right now from the parking level down up. You might not need a full 10 feet if it's just parking underneath. You could probably lower that. But that's going to gain you on the outdoor deck. If you really look at that outdoor deck when you lay it out, you're going to have about 360, 70 square feet of usable table area right now. And it's all used up by the ramp and the path that you have to create around that whole space, which means you're eliminating about half of that space for circulation, which means you don't have tables there, right? If you're able to get rid of that ramp, then you eliminate some of that. You could get up to like 600 and some square feet of usable space, which, turning over the numbers and all that, it's going to make a lot more financial sense. So I would try to look at that and try to eliminate the ramp as much as possible in that front area and lowering the floor finish on the upper portion. So take a look at that. But I think everything's in keeping. I like your landscape portion of it. Adding to that, it could be a really nice space. So shaded is a premium, so please keep that in mind. Thank you.
I think that this is a great update to that building. I have no problems with the historical significance. Putting that plaque in there, none of the building is original to that, so there's no concerns with that from my perspective. Generally, our guidance for commercial development is to build to the sidewalk. And so this is an exception to that. It was already an exception to that. And so I think I can get past that, but that is what we generally try to do, is building all the way to the sidewalk. A lot of buildings down there build all the way to the sidewalk and then put some tables out there. So that would have been an option as well. But this is already that way. The next building is that way. So I think I can get past that. I think you did a really nice job of fitting that design in there. The one question I did have is that beautiful accent color in the back. I thought, if I'm remembering our code correctly, that bright colors such as that were discouraged or even not allowed. Can you give some color to that?
So that's true. It says garish pastel colors shall be avoided. Now, you can see up and down the downtown now, there's been a lot of pushback from property owners who we tried to convince them to tone things down, and we're not getting any compliance. I think this accent color on the elevator shaft at the rear of the building, it could be some visible as you're driving northbound on Baldwin Avenue, but I think it overall kind of activates that site. I'm not too concerned with it.
Okay. I know that that's been a concern. Certainly when the building next to the gas station got painted yellow, we heard about those kind of colors. But I personally think it fits in well. I just want to be compliant with the spirit of the code as well, and that's why I was checking on that. But I do agree that it's hidden well in the back. Garish.
All right.
Maybe we should add that to the codes that we need to update there. And so, with all of that said, I think that I have no problems making the finding. I think that you've really gone to a lot of effort. I think the timing is convenient for everybody since the other tea house is closed now. I know that there was some conversation about that at the last time that you were before us. I'm excited. So, I guess I will entertain a motion to, sorry.
Question.
Yes.
So, the front facade of this new building is about 2 feet behind the other building. I mean, it's not quite lining up. This might look a little accidental in a sense. Do we want to try to get that closer, or does it matter to us?
I think of that other building as being fairly whimsical in and of itself. And so I think that I don't think that,
Okay.
personally, if I were going to align it with anything, I would have pushed to align it with the sidewalk, like
Street, like the one in the other side.
like everything, every single building on the other side of the street going down, every other building on the same side of the street going down.
Right. Okay.
This just happens to be where that broke, and so. So if there's no more consideration, then I will entertain a motion.
All right, I so move that we approve demolition permit 2303 and design review permit 2302 to allow demolition of the existing commercial building and to approve the new project as proposed with the condition that we refer to staff the fire, what is it?
Apparatus.
Suppression.
Fire suppression hatch and be addressed at plan check.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second public hearing of the night is Stonegate Development Tract 54016, Lot 26, Hillside Development Permit 15-06, and Conditional Use Permit 15-06, an application to allow construction of a new single-family residence with an attached two-car garage for a total of 4,423 square feet. I thought I saw a three-car garage.
I did see a 3-car garage.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a three-car garage.
Yeah.
Just a typo. Is there a presentation from staff?
Yes. Good evening, Commission. And that's one thing I wanted to address before I open up my presentation was that there is a typo on the agenda that states 2-car garage when in fact it is a 3-car garage.
Sorry.
So tonight's Planning Commission will be considering the Hillside Development Permit for Lot 26 of the Stonegate Development at 608 Baldwin Court. And just to provide a little bit of background for our newer commissioners, there's a summary, but really there's a whole saga to this that predates 1999. For the sake of simplicity, and though this is not as simple as it appears, I'm only going to go over the recent history within the past 10 years. In short, applications were filed by CETT, the current owner. Applications were in variability denied, deemed incomplete, and settlement ensued. Or, I'm sorry, litigation ensued that resulted in settlement. And for further explanation, I've also placed an agenda report from the city attorney to city council. That report's dated December 14th, 2021. It's on the dais for your review, and it's a nicely condensed 3-page background on the matter that condenses all of the history on this predating 1999. And more of the recent history, essentially further condensing what you see on screen is CETT essentially, in agreement with the city, extended and amended the settlement agreement, which extended the timelines for submittal. And between 2019 and 2020, there were 7 projects approved, one of those being approval by rescinding of a denial resolution by City Council. The following 6 being approvals by Planning Commission. And as of the second amendment to the settlement agreement, 17 applications were deemed incomplete. And of the 7 lots that were approved for entitlement, 3 are fully constructed, 3 are issued building permits, and 1 has approved construction plans. CETT has continued to start submitting revised permit applications on the outstanding lots. The first of those deemed complete for Planning Commission's consideration is Hillside Development Permit 1506 and Conditional Use Permit 1506 for this project at 608 Baldwin Court. CETT and the city are forecasting reviews on the applications for lots 23, 1, 2, 18, 17, 11, and 14, with more to come in the purpose of completing the construction from the south to the north.
How long was the second amendment to extend the timeline for which to submit plans?
I believe it's extended until 2023, December 2023. Is that right?
So any plans not submitted by the end of this year will either go back to a third amendment if amenable by the city council.
An additional tolling agreement to extend that deadline. And look, many of the issues regarding not being able to process plans is because the debris basin had not been accepted by LA County Flood Control. So that was at least a 1.5 year delay.
I remember that. Thank you.
Can I ask a historical question? Because you didn't cover it, but it's in this summary. Back when Maranatha had the property, the city denied general plan and zoning applications for the school, but then also denied development for private residences, like they were changing horses midstream. Anybody have any idea why? What the logic is? Because now we have, I mean, going forward, we have a new developer 2 or 3 times. No, the rationale or anything? Okay.
No.
I mean, I don't think it's relevant, but, because we have a settlement agreement with building pads and the whole 9 yards, but it's like, that barely predates my presence on the planning commission, so I just remember post. Okay, if nobody has any memory, and none of the original characters are around here, so. All right, go ahead.
So to continue the subject matter, the applicant is requesting to allow the construction of a new 4,423 square foot single-family residence, including an attached 3-car garage on an existing flat pad. Pursuant to the municipal code, construction of a single-family dwelling in the hillside management zone requires the approval of a hillside development permit, and one of the conditions of approval in the tract map was the approval of a conditional use permit for projects that can be seen from the Macomber Cabin, Carter Barn, and Willis Estate to ensure that the development contrasts and design to these cultural resources. The Commission's criteria for review will be the Chapter 17.52, the Sierra Madre Municipal Code, the Stonegate Design Guidelines approved in July 2010, and the settlement agreements amended through December 2021. Particular to Lot 26, the settlement agreement amends the zoning code requirement for maximum floor area and the placement of buildings over slopes, I'm sorry.
Sorry, before we go on, what did the settlement agreement say about maintenance of the existing historical buildings?
That they would be cataloged, mothballed to preserve them as much as possible in place. And then we do have for the Carter Barn a proposal to convert that to residential use with an additional addition at the rear of the property. So that'll be coming to the Planning Commission fairly soon as well. But they're supposed to be incorporated into the project.
Okay, I guess that's a fight for another night. Let that one lay there for a while, because that thing is decrepit. It has fallen into disrepair. A bat hits it, and that thing's going to fall over.
And I would imagine that when the property, it is time to reconstruct, it's going to have to be rebuilt in its entirety, but resemble what it looks like, not today, but what it used to be.
Okay.
Yes, and McCober Cabin and the Carter Barn are Lot 18. That is forecasted for Planning Commission's review in the near future. So the proposed project is, as stated earlier, a new single-family residence, a 2-story house with an attached 3-car garage totaling 4,423 square feet on an existing building pad. It is designed as a contemporary farmhouse architectural style, a combination of low-pitched gable and hipped standing seam metal roofing, mixed of Coronado stone brick veneer and James Hardy lap siding on the ground floor, balanced with a composite wood batten board siding on the second floor. Overall, it's a simple minimalistic design with materials resembling rustic aesthetic of traditional farmhouse design. Lot 26 is located as access from Baldwin Court, but it also has frontage on Carter Avenue. It's situated between Lot 25 to its west and Lot 24 to its north. And on this map, I also included color indicators to indicate which lots are still pending entitlement. That would be lots 1, 2, 23, and 26. In green, lots 24, 22, and 21 are completed constructions. Lot 9 is the one with approved construction plans pending permit, and Lot 25 has an issued permit that is pending groundbreaking.
How long are the permits good for once they're approved?
Once a permit is issued, it is good for 1 year. Once ground has been broken, there's a 180-day timeline in which they need to get inspection to indicate significant progress on the construction.
We are well past that since 25 got approved.
So since 25 has an issued building permit, I do believe they were permitted extensions on their approved building plans. I don't have the dates offhand of when it was issued a building permit, but I do believe it was within the last year. Based
The
on
extension would have been
the extension to its building permit. It's I believe it's plan check or its building plans for construction have been approved, likely within the past year, if not the past 2 years.
Okay.
And 9, similar.
Lot 9 is a sitting project right now with approved construction plans pending building permit. I believe the situation with Lot 9 is that it is for sale at the moment, and potential owners are seeking whether or not to construct it based on approved plans.
Okay.
Here are some site photographs. On the top left, you have a photo of the property looking in and facing west. Then on the top right is looking in towards the property but facing east. And on the bottom is facing out towards the properties, respectively on the bottom left to the west, and on the bottom right facing east. You'll notice that there is a significant tree line which obscures view to the Willis estate. Facing south and north, south being on the left-hand side of this slide. On the top, you'll see a photo of the property facing in toward the property, and then on the bottom, facing out toward the property, and then on the right-hand side of the slide is facing north, respectfully, in towards the property and away from the property. And for the most part, you can see that this is primarily just a flat pad vacant lot. Moving on to the ridgeline analysis. The nearest ridgeline is located upon lots 16 and 15 here on the slide. This is just barely to the north, but it does have a horizontal distance approximately 401 feet and a vertical distance of approximately 89 feet above the nearest property line of lot 26. And that would be roughly at the northern corner where it makes kind of an elbow there. Moving on to the slope study, the existing site's building pad is primarily within slope category 1 of less than 15% slope. However, there are areas within the front portion of the lot, areas of which are necessary for access, which are within slope category 4 of greater than 25%, which will require grading in a gentle slope that accommodates vehicular access to the proposed building pad. On the following slide, I have shown here and highlighted in orange where the grading will take place. You can see that the driveway will create a gentle grade, I think of 4% grade into and toward the garage there is located on building pad. There are a series of retaining walls here that are on either side of the driveway and also along the northern property line here, and they do adjoin at some point, and these are primarily retaining walls. However, upon the property line walls, there will be a fence installed as well for privacy. Within these two retaining walls is a 2-to-1 cut slope, and I also have demonstrated here the drainage plan indicated and highlighted in blue. So there is an underground system of perforated subdrain pipes, catch basins, and PVC drainage pipes that lead into an infiltration basin there at the southeast corner of the house that is underground by 7 feet. That infiltration pit does overflow into an existing culvert in the parkway. The estimated grading start date is December 1st, 2023, and the estimated to take 1 year to complete the grading.
One year for the grading?
1 year to complete the grading, which approximately consists of 100 cubic yards of cut and fill to the existing pad. Regarding protected trees, there are 6 coast live oaks and 1 California sycamore. I think I have misrepresented all of the protected trees here. I don't think every highlighted one is a protected species. These 2 smaller ones I don't believe are the protected trees here. But the ones that do have bias in towards the footprint are California oak trees, and the sycamore trees at the lower west corner of the property. According to the arborist, it is possible to construct the project without impacting or removing any of the protected trees. And because there are 2 oak trees that demonstrate a bias towards the footprint of the protected project, or of the proposed project, it is recommended that excavation and trenching within the tree protection zone be conducted under the supervision of an ISA certified arborist, which may require hand digging for footings. Recommendations of the arborist are incorporated as part of the conditions of approval for this project. And as you'll also see on this slide, an analysis was conducted of the lot width, of the average lot width, which results in 107.23 feet, which then would require a cumulative side yard setback of 32 feet 2 inches. The following slide shows the conceptual site plan with setback lines shown here. From the front on Baldwin Court, there is a setback of the front yard of 32 feet 7 inches. There is a secondary front yard setback that staff is requiring from Carter Avenue. The minimum required is 25, but 26 is provided. For the side yard setback, the smallest one adjacent to lot 25 is a 10-foot setback. That is the maximum that can be required on the smallest side. And on the opposing side is 22 feet 2 inches to provide a cumulative side yard setback of 32 feet 2 inches. But you'll also notice that there is a front porch projecting into that setback, which encroaches not more than 6 feet. The garage openings you see here are recessed from the main building by 12 inches. And the front entry incorporates the same 12-inch recessed feature. The garage is stepped back from the, in additional to the side yard setback by an additional 3 feet 6 inches to reduce the presence of the garage from the street. So since this project will have a nice presence on Carter Avenue. The garage, because it is oriented in such a way that it is lower from the street on Baldwin Court, it won't have as primary presence as might otherwise be designed. For the conceptual landscape plan, the Stonegate design guidelines include a recommended plant palette with trees, shrubs, vines, ground cover, and perennials for properties located in the tract. The proposed landscape plan is consistent with the recommended plants described in Appendix A of the Stonegate design guidelines. The floor plan program, the first floor includes the 3-car garage, family living, dining, and laundry rooms, kitchen with an auxiliary interior fry kitchen, a breakfast nook, a powder room, and an ensuite bedroom. The kitchen opens eastward to an open patio area. The total area for the first floor is 2,204 square feet in residential area, plus the 669 square foot garage. The second floor includes the primary bedroom, the generous space for the 2 walk-in closets and a bathroom, 1 ensuite bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and a full bathroom. The stair lands at a generous open interior space with an attached hallway ending at a small storage closet. The massing of the second floor is stepped back from the building line of the first floor on each side with a greater step back on the north and west sides. The total area of the second floor is 1,550 square feet.
I'm sorry, what did you say the setback is between the first and the second floor on the south elevation? Is it like half a foot?
I did not indicate it. It is in line. I don't know. I'm sorry. It meets at a corner, so the outer corner of the south elevation will meet with the interior corner of the building line here. So it's barely visible, but the area for the family room here, the exterior wall, I'm highlighting here on the slide here, is this one right here. So it is stepped back approximately 6 feet.
The wall is set back 6 feet?
The second floor wall is stepped back approximately 6 feet from the building line of the first floor on the south elevation. So the building line of the first floor is right here, as
Commissioner Denson.
indicated.
The plans didn't look like it was 6 feet.
Yeah,
No, they didn't.
but that's the step back.
Okay, thank you.
The roof plan.
Yeah, it's a rent.
Roof plans are all of a consistent low pitch featuring crossing gables and hipped projections. The front porch is covered by a hip roof extending from the living room, and the rear patio features a trellis covering projected from the hip roof here on the east side. So here you can also see the lines extending to the eaves. The dash lines also represent the building line, the wall lines of each floor. So again, there is a point here where the interior corner on the south elevation meets the exterior corner of the second floor on the south elevation. And there is, and I did have to approximate that, I do apologize, just eyeballing it, it looks like it is 6 feet separated. On the materials, included are charcoal color standing seam metal roofing, Arctic white composite wood siding, vertical batten board cladding on the second floor, and horizontal lap siding featured on the ground floor, a wolf gray Coronado stone veneer at the ground floor, and cladding the chimney as well, and a steel gray for the wood and door trim. Wood columns and trellis will be compliant with the very high fire hazard severity zone building requirements. Structural members at a minimum of 4-inch thickness and will be painted to match the Arctic white field color of the home. The proposed home is within the established building envelope described by the height of 25 feet of a warped ground plane and the angle plane as highlighted here in red and orange. And moving on to the south and north elevations, north being the front of the property and south being the Carter Avenue present. Windows are featured in a combination of single hung with casement windows and include standalone and coupled double hung windows, as well as smaller sliding windows for privacy in the bathrooms. Vents are featured below gables and presented as louvered vents, but will include screening necessary for fire protection as required by Chapter 7A of the Building Code. And those vents are below the peaks of each gable. In a summary of the project data, each point here is compliant with either the settlement agreement or the municipal code. In particular here, the lot size complies with section 5.2 of the settlement agreement, and the gross floor area complies with the settlement agreement as described in Exhibit H. A neighborhood analysis was conducted and revealed that the proposed residential floor area, totaling 3,754 square feet, is greater than the average of the top third of homes in the vicinity by 84 square feet. However, I would like to point out that the analysis includes for 62 East Carter, reflecting a building area of 1,128 square feet. That does not reflect the approved project that adds 2,330 square feet to it. It is pending a final building inspection for that to be reflected in the assessor's records. I did count that in the event that this project at 62 Carter is assumed, that the proposed project at 608 Baldwin Court would be less than the average of the top third by 45 square feet. This analysis also does not consider the complete construction at the other sites of lots 24, 22, and 21. On the following slide, we have the massing study. The massing of the proposed home is outlined by the white rectangle. Massings of other homes in the development site have been included. It's important to note that the nearest adjacent property, lot 25, is not yet constructed but has been approved for constructions as previously stated. The massings for lot 1 and 2, located on the west side of Baldwin Court, are also present on the slide, but are pending entitlement and may be subject to change. The massing of lot 24 is shown at the north and is north of the proposed project and is already a constructed project. And its massing represents its existing state. So on the top left image here, north is kind of facing on the left side of that image. You see lots 24 massings here is already constructed, and lot 25 is proposed. I'm sorry, it's entitled but not yet constructed. And then lots 1 are on the south side of lot 2, which are both on the west side of Baldwin Court.
Good question. Is 25, is that the actual, what it's gonna look like? I mean, that was approved?
Yes,
It
25.
actually looks like that.
Lot 25 is entitled, approved for construction and with a building permit issued, but no ground broken yet.
Right. But it looks like that.
Yes,
Okay.
correct, yes. To the right of that, you can see the building's context in relation to lot 25, as well as its presence that may be visible from Carter Avenue.
How much lower is 27 than 25?
27 to the
That one, yeah.
to the east. I'm not 100% sure. Its building pad is located, I think, at least 80 feet away from lot 26, though.
It's way lower.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
street. It's street level.
Right, no, I know, I
Yeah.
couldn't remember if they're gonna do grading and sloping, that's fine.
Yeah, on the lower image here, you might see the starts of the building pad there. It might be a little bit cut off by this image, but it's pretty far on to the right of lot 26. And the following, we have a 3D rendering of the project as seen from Baldwin Court. And you'll notice that the property line walls here are going to be proposed in the same stone veneer that you see throughout the development. in part for approving this application. Findings for hillside development permit are summarized here on slide. That first, it is consistent with the general plan for single-family residential use. It does meet all zoning regulations for height, setback, and parking. The new construction is on an existing flat building pad. The project does not impact ridgeline views. The development will comply with the fuel modification plan, and there is use of earth tone colors throughout. throughout. And just as a reminder, the conditional use permit is necessary for differentiation of the historic sites in the development. And the first finding is that the new house is differentiated from the existing historic structure, as it is a contemporary farmhouse design. Baldwin Court provides sufficient access for circulation for single-family development. The single-family use is consistent with the single-family development, other developments within the vicinity. The lot was created for the development of a single-family residence, and the project meets all requirements of the zoning code and meets the intent of the general plan. And primarily, differentiation from existing historic structures is backed up by support through a design compliance review conducted by Satfos Environmental. On the following slide is compliance for Stonegate design guidelines. And just a summary bullet point here, the custom architectural design that responds to the site conditions. The mass and bulk are reduced with breaks in wall plane, roof variations, architectural projections, and open patio. There is a variety of window sizes and configurations to enhance its visual interest. The materials are durable and low maintenance, metal roof and wood siding. Landscape plan is water efficient and is an integral component to the project design. The alternatives before the Planning Commission tonight are to approve the applications as presented, subject to the conditions of approval pursuant to Planning Commission Resolution 23-10. Planning Commission may approve the applications with modifications. Modifications may include adjustments to the form, massing, fenestration, materials, and colors appropriate to make adequate findings on the applications. Planning Commission may deny the request, identifying findings that it feels cannot be made and the basis for rejecting those findings. Or Planning Commission may continue the subject project and provide direction to the applicant and to staff. A summary of the conditions include that the project have all utilities constructed underground, that solar PV system be installed, that building material glare be reduced and mitigated by screening, that all exterior lighting be dark sky compliant, that all the landscape be water efficient, that the low impact development stormwater capture be designed for a 50-year storm, that fire sprinklers be installed, and that a fuel modification plan be required as part of approval. Staff's recommendation is to approve the applications as submitted pursuant to Planning Commission Resolution 23-10. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
Just one. The wall between 25 and 26 is a retaining wall, a partial retaining wall?
It's retaining wall for purpose of grading, but it will include a privacy fence as well on top.
How high is that?
It's not indicated. It will be as part of the deferred.
Because it's going to be dependent on the next house that's built too.
Correct, yeah. It is subject to a height limit of 6 feet.
Okay, okay.
But the pad level was the same, right? I mean, I was up there today. It's basically like one giant.
Yeah, I was thinking about the barriers to, privacy versus, I think we had some things with the other properties going up about wildlife corridors and things like that and obstructions to, movement. But I think since it's going between the buildings, I think it meets the requirements. Anyway, I just wanted to know because it's hard to tell. It looks like it's a decent big wall, but it looks like there's some retaining features to it.
So staff will likely have that all hashed out during plan check review of site retaining walls, which does come as a separate submittal during plan check.
Okay, that's fine. That's only one fence. I just wanted to get some details. Thank you.
So the retaining walls and fences don't come back before the planning commission?
No, they're part of a deferred submittal, so it should be looked at as part of this review. Site retaining walls and fences.
You said it's not going to be, but it should be looked at as part of this? I'm confused.
I'm sorry, allow me to clarify. Planning commission can exercise their discretion on the site retaining walls in part of this application, part of their decision tonight.
Is there a presentation from the applicant?
The applicant is present tonight as well as the owner, but I don't believe there is any additional presentation.
Okay. At this time, we will take public comment on this specific agendized item. If anybody would like to comment, please state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
Trying to see the 177.
Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. Who'd like to start?
Looks like it's pretty flat.
I'll start. I have one thing that I think I like the design of the house. I just don't like the way the house is situated on the lot. From Carter, this is going to be a 25-foot house on top of about 12 to 13-foot hill and setback 32 feet. So we're set back 32 feet, and it's going to be about 37, 38 feet tall. That's pretty looming to me. And it's white. It just seems like it's going to really kind of stick out on the street. One of the things I was noting in I forget what this is actually called, the Stonegate design guidelines that I was given, was that buildings should be sited to eliminate, buildings should be sited to minimize building silhouettes against the skyline. And I realize that this site is already graded at that level, and I think we're kind of stuck there because, I mean, it's the side of the hill. So we have to come up and then have a flat spot and then get up to the next house. It just seems that if the house, I guess the second story is set back 6 feet, so it'll break that up a little bit. But if the kind of the 2-story massing was more against a hillside and the 1-story stuff was more where you see it and it's open, I think it would look from Carter, which is the street that I think most people would be on, it would look a lot nicer and a lot smaller. Because again, I don't really care how big a house is. Square footage doesn't mean much to me. It's how big it looks. And I think this is going to look huge coming from that street. And there's I don't know how to break that up without 100-year-old trees that are 35 feet tall. I know we can't just install trees of that size. That being said, that's kind of my thoughts on this design, on this layout.
Yeah, I'll tag on to that just a little bit. I was kind of hoping this lot would have another 1-story development like 25 with less of that looming
Right.
vision. Like it's almost like the lot next to it, although it's not built yet, could accommodate something taller because there's nothing other than the other 2 lots which are quite huge, but down the slope quite a bit, another 15 or 20, almost 20 feet, depending on how it looked at. That's why I asked the question. I almost feel like the house next door could allow almost, I mean, it's almost 20 feet lower, depending on the grading and whatnot for the building pad. That's my only criticism, is the bulk and mass of it, and possibly also obstructing, 24. So I was hoping for a single level like 25. I don't know what kind of problems that brings, but I'd like them to consider redesigning it to something along that line. They have the option, I know it's expensive because they did that on the other houses, of putting in basements, which gives them the extra square footage, but I agree in principle what you're saying because of where its location is and how high off that grading slope it's going to be. And since the other house is one story, I think it also does something to their, enjoyment and use of their house. Even though I think they tried to build it with the windows not facing, lot 25, so there's some privacy aspects that might be mitigated. But I was kind of hoping to see one story. It's almost the same size as 25, but if not for the grading and the trees. But I think maybe there's something they should take another look at. That's my main objection.
It's a lot to take in, this whole thing with all that's gone on already. I think the site itself, with all the setbacks, it's actually pretty limiting on where the house can actually go. I do agree that maybe that south elevation is a little sort of vertical. I measured it out. It looks like it's a setback from first to second floor. It's about 4 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're trying to do a little bit of that, but I think it could probably benefit from stepping back a little bit, or somehow, I don't know, ensure any kind of tree coverage on the south side that maybe more mature or something. I don't know what we could call out for to cover that. But I think a little bit of just setting back a little bit more would help it, because you are working in a way that 1 foot setback, it actually makes a huge difference going back, because you are looking straight up at it. But there's also some remedies in this where the roof line itself, instead of facing, and not tapering off at the edges, makes a difference. Because if you're just looking at the full side of the slope instead of tapering it off at the ends, you're looking at the full thing instead of, a 45-degree cut at it. Maybe that's a way of mitigating some of that. But I think if you guys feel strongly, but I think I could support something like that where you really look at maybe setting back a little bit. So.
So I had a few concerns with this. I've been through a few of these in the Stonegate project, and so I've learned to kind of accept where the siding is and how big the pads are, because we have no purview over that. That's what the settlement agreed to. But we do have those guidelines to use, and a couple of them I'm having a hard time understanding. If we look at the guidelines for B2, they are clearly against the first feature of the house being the garage. All of the different diagrams show that it is set back from the house, or that it is changed in direction so you don't see it from the front of the house. There's a couple of great diagrams in that section. And I understand that it's a flag-like lot, and there's some challenges there, but there's no way of getting around that the very first feature you see on this house from the road is the garage. And so I don't think that it's consistent with that guideline. When we look at the kitchen on the south elevation, guideline D 1.5 encourages us to not use blank walls. And yet we have half the length of the house on the first floor with nothing but blank wall. And I understand there's a kitchen, and it's hard to put windows in kitchens, but you can put side lights on the side of the stove or add something to break that wall up, because that is it's literally 25% of the wall that you're going to see is just straight wall. And so that's guideline D 1.5. Also, when we look at the south elevation, guideline D 1.6 requires us to step up the massing. And it goes on to say, two-story masses should be located towards the center of the buildings, with the building height and massing stepping down at the edges to avoid the appearance of large two-story boxes. I think that this is a classic definition of that two-story box, unfortunately. I think that if you listen to any of the previous conversations that the commission has had on these houses, we've encouraged all of the building massing to be at the north side of the lot and on the east side of the lot. And this house is built diametrically opposed to that. All of the massing is on the south side, so that one of the two most visible houses of all of this entire tract is built as a two-story straight flat wall for all intents and purposes. So by shifting that massing of the second story to the north side of the house rather than the south side of the house, I think a great example of the proportions of those is if you look at drawing A8, section B-B, you'll see it's
The west elevation.
it is the it's got kind of the lot line there, and it's a great image of showing it is the west elevation, and you'll see that the entire first third, the northern third of the house, is flat and low, first story, and the entire and maybe it's not even a third, it might be only 20%. The entire 80% of the other bulk and massing of the house is towards the south side. And I think that is the perfect demonstration of what we need flip-flopped. All of that massing is on the south side right now, and that's the most visible house, the highest difference from the sidewalk. It creates the biggest vision change. Even if you put trees in there that are going to grow huge, it's going to be my kids worrying about it, not me. It's going to take 20 years to get them to hide that wall, right? So I think that that's one of my biggest concerns, and I think that kind of incorporates what we've heard from the other commissioners. I will commend you on complying with D 4.6, which is changing the materials mid-wall. For some reason, that's been a huge challenge in the ones that have come before us, and you nailed it. Everything terminates at a quarter, at an inside corner, no less. I think you guys did a great job on that. The garage, so the two big ones, so the three big ones that I would like to see changes before I could approve the project are the garage, according to guideline B.2, the kitchen, according to guideline D 1.5, and then that south elevation, which really is the bulking and massing, pushing that bulking and massing. And candidly, you could push it all the way to the north side and not have a step on the north side, and I think everybody would be okay with that. Because it's just a straight wall there, and that's just the layout of it, and you're stuck with the site, but it really is a huge difference. And so anything you can do to minimize that massing by pushing it to the back side, the north side of the house, I think is really going to help us see that compliance with that section of the guidelines. Any other comments?
No, I agree.
Good points.
Then I think it sounds like we would probably like to offer you the opportunity to continue this to either a date certain or a date uncertain at your choice. Absolutely. If you'd like to respond to those comments, feel free.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Stephen Chen. I'm representing for this project for the architecture firm Tech Design Works. Thank you so much for your comment. Totally understand where you're coming from and understand where all these concerns are. As this site is very challenging, it's irregular shape. We have a long driveway coming down. It's going toward down a couple feet, and I can address all the questions that you have or comments that you have. Number one, for the facing garage location, as you can see the site, we only kept one narrowed down, and there's really no other chance to do the garage. That will be only, I wouldn't say perfect, but it's the only choice for the garage door location to access to the car. Anything that you rotate, that we're just losing more flat lot area, and then we're just not making this building more efficient. So that's one of the design challenge that we have. Totally understand where you're coming from, but that was my design challenge, that the garage cannot go anywhere else. If we go to the other side of the back, then I have a very long driveway, go all the way down, provide another 25 feet of the turning radius. Not working right there. So that's the first one. The second one, the kitchen wall facing the south doesn't have much window. We thought about that. We worry about, we do, during the design review internally, we do realized the down south side of the Carter one has the other housing over there. That kitchen window direction, actually before that, our kitchen was reversed. The counter is actually facing the other side, and then we have like bars and great window location pushing that one. But privacy become an issue right now because that we're looking at the neighbor's house, looking down all the time, and that was raised up another privacy concern. But if that wasn't a concern, we can totally reverse that kitchen layout with more window on the south side. That's definitely no problem, which is I prefer that too. So if we okay with that privacy concern is not a concern, then we can reverse that. So I just want to bring it up now, since we talk about this, we can rethink about this with different angle to say, hey, is privacy concerns more important to the neighbors, or looking uphill, seeing the plain wall as more concern? We can kind of weigh that and see which one is better, because I don't want to come back with the window facing south and the other neighbor say, hey, you're looking at me all the time. I don't feel comfortable with that. Then we have to come back to square one again. So that's one of the design direction that we hoping that we can discuss that as well. Number 3, well, that's something for the south side elevation. The kitchen's almost the same thing, right? So the other concern about the massing that was have a dramatically more weight on the second floor on the south side instead of the north side. We did study that too. We kind of, this is funny that we almost changing this design like 6 times already. So this is kind of a final product that we feel we kind of tackle a lot of concerns already. The main reason that we have the second floor leaning toward to the south only have about 4-5 feet setback from the first floor. Of course, number one, we try to satisfy that angle plan study, right? We have that 15 feet and then the 45 degree, which we need to satisfy that as well. Number 2, we did have a scheme that has a second floor mainly on the north side, leaning toward to closer to lot 24, which is have been built already. We did that study and we have the massing of the 24. 24 is very close to their property line already, so probably only like less than 10 feet over there or 9 feet. And when we're doing that, having that second story on the north side more, we are creating a Grand Canyon or even like a tunnel effect, because we have 2 tall buildings very close to each other. We only have that 25 feet on the little slope. And there's a couple issues here. Number 1 is the lighting issue, because that north side will be blocking a lot of sun coming down to their front yard. So their front yard, which is their driveway and the gate, will be always dark most of the time during summer and winter, all the seasons, right? Number 1. Number 2, we are very close to lot 24 on the privacy. Again, when we're pushing that, we're kind of directing, seeing each other. Unfortunately, that is lot 24 side yard, but that's my front yard from the 26. So it's kind of like, you don't see me, but I see you all the time. That kind of feeling, right? So this is another reason. The third reason is when we're doing that, it brings the again, this building, we understand, I don't want to say wedding cake kind of design, right? But we try to avoid that. But on the other hand, we try to weigh which side is more important or more appropriate to this project. As for this side, it's very challenging to design. We have almost 3 front yard setback requirement already, because the side, whatever we're calling the side right now, is actually more like a front yard setback requirement. We have 25 feet there on the north side. We have 25 feet on the south side. We have almost 25 feet on the side as well. So we're kind of losing a lot of real estate over there for the design. So we have been very restricted to the footprint that we can do. On the second floor, we weighted all the sides to see what's the best way. Seems come out like facing to the south side has more benefit than the north side. The other reason for that is on the south side, we're taking the angle of more like a user angle than all the public that's driving along the corridor, where they're gonna see like tall building or not. That will be a lesser concern. I understand this is probably the priority concern from all of the commissioner here, but as a user perspective of the view, it's like, hey, I'm coming back to my home. I want to have that cozy driveway front yard experience instead of like condo looking facing forward, only have 10 feet of the front with the little driveway over there. Taking back of that consideration on the south side of the wall, having that 2-story high. I remember 25 is also 2-story high building. The only 1-story side will be toward to the corner lot. When they stepping down, that one is 1-story. Rest of the building
Right,
is
but it's
2-story.
set way back.
The reason they set all the way back because they using they do have very long bowling core street to leaning toward, right? So that 25 feet is from that one. And 26 doesn't have that choice.
I meant the second story set.
Right. Well, the second story too, yes. And then, so they have a more linear side we can play with. As for 26, it's very, I can't even say it's rectangular, but it's because it's more like a triangle lot. So again, this is coming back to different perspective to look at how this design coming to, understand where you're coming from. So I'd like to share where my design team is coming from to consider all these situations. On the south side, of course, we are not ignoring the first floor, second floor set. We could play a little bit to set a little bit more, right? But we can, as for now, to me, I won't do flipping the design to have that second floor leaning toward to the front 80% because that will create that little front courtyard. I'm calling courtyard right now because we've been surrounded by buildings, right? Right now we have 2 buildings just kind of side by side. So it's hard for me to justify that I want to sacrifice and making that courtyard very like 2 high buildings all together facing to each other. I'd rather set it back a little bit. I could redesign the second floor of the south side to set back even more. Right now we have about 4 feet. Maybe we can set 6 feet, 7 feet, something like that. We can reduce the bedroom or pushing the whole couple of feet to the north a little bit more. But again, you kind of understand where I'm coming from right now. I try not to provide that very narrow and compressed feeling when they're coming home every day because they're driving down already, compressed by the 2-story high building. And it's very dark too. So to me, that's very depressing. So I try to avoid that. We do have, I would say, 5 or 6 trees along the corridor already. Yes, it will take time to grow to a certain height to provide the shading or blocking the walls. But again, that's kind of, do we want window? Do we want tree? It's coming back to the other argument too. So if possible, as today's discussion, can we spend another 5 minutes to look at these in different angle, and can we come out with another suggestion from the commissioners that yes, that garage facing the north or facing the on the street is not the best, but in this particular lot, do we have a choice here? For now, I don't see, I have too much choice. This is kind of the only choice I can, right? Number 2, the south wall. If I recess another 3 feet, 4 feet, would that be satisfying the commissioner's concern about having a 2 double high building massing facing to the corridor?
Yeah,
or
we
if
could-
I can changing the color to kind of differentiate that a little bit, not totally different color, maybe just different tones of white. You know, it can be white and lighter gray or something like that to kind of differentiate the building layer on the or the modulation for that. And number 3 will be kitchen, right? Are we okay with the privacy concern? If we have more window facing the south, looking at the neighbor, would that be okay? If that would be the case, I can always redesign that kitchen to make it work. So
Yeah, that's we can certainly discuss those things right
Sure.
now. Did you want to?
I was just gonna say, I mean, as an architect, I understand the dilemma that you're in that you're trying to balance
Yes.
what's going on the site, especially on a challenging site like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the issues that we brought up, and I think it's, across the board, we have an issue with the southern elevation.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't think it's a matter of 4 feet. I think it's more of a matter of 6, 8, 10 feet kind of idea.
Okay.
We'd like to see the stepping, and
Mhm.
it has to do with the view of it, as that angle. What you see from here and here and you're pushing it back so that it's behind this line,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have the straight view of it, right?
Understand
You
that
reduce
you're
that of it.
yes.
And so that's what's concerning to us.
Okay.
And I don't think a 4-foot sort of pushing it back is going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a combination of maybe potentially color or roof line configuration, but also a significant setback to make a difference with that.
Okay.
Now the garage aspect of it, I think maybe we'd be a little more understanding of it because of the siding, but that southern part, I think that's something that we really need to
Sure.
see a drastic change in.
Sure. It's 'cause it's not-
I'm the same with that. I mean, that was my concern. Is the south side? It's just going to look massive, like a 3-story building, 3+ story building height. And yeah, if there's a way to put that against basically a hill, it's much, like that one thing says, the silhouette. I drove up there today just to make sure, and I understand, and walked around the property, and I looked up standing from Carter and just imagined it, and the mountain was gone. Like just the silhouette from that street is going to be massive. There's nothing else on that street like that. So I understand it became the back of the house, but the problem is to everybody else in the city, that's the front of the house. That's what they're all going to see, because we only have that little narrow thing down Baldwin Court, down the driveway, to see the house. So in a way, we're looking, I think, for what we would normally look for in the front of a house.
Okay.
We designed that.
Understand.
Mr. Madre?
Yeah, no, I don't know how this makes sense because I'm not an architect, but putting the if there's no way they want to go with something that's one level, pushing that massing over the garage to almost hide it. So you got that stuff up in the front on the south side, almost rotating around, have something even over the garage to tuck the garage under to hide it, and create, the bigger step back, almost taking all that massing going forward. I could live with that because then you'd mitigate the view of the garage even if there's no other place to put it, and then you wouldn't really see it. That's one way to solve it, I think. I don't know if that's viable, but because then it also keeps it away from the other house by stacking it way over in the other corner, which is obviously your other dilemma.
This is with the 8-foot setback.
I think you could take that volume that's where it's kind of L-shaped on top with the face of it's going this way and almost reverse it and maybe put it out this way and having that lower slope coming to the left towards lot 727 and back towards 24.
To respond to building a more massing 202-27 or to the east side of the lot, again, we have that 4 or 3 oak tree over there. So we try not to put anything closer to that as much possible, especially on the level 2 as well. So the more we talk about it, you see more restriction that we have, and then you're starting like, what's going on here? So it's multiple challenging that we have here. Again, I understand where you're coming from, and I think right now, if the south wall will be the biggest concern that we have, we can consider to moving the whole second floor to the front a lot more, right? Like Mr. Commissioner was suggesting that maybe 10 feet instead of 4 feet, something like that. We can create more dramatic setback to the second floor to diverse your vision, so you don't see that as a big house over there. I think that is doable. Again, coming back to privacy, if that's okay, then we can do a lot of opening on the south side, making more that side is like street or the curb appealing for that side, because this house is always coming back to the fundamental question that which side is the front. Besides that, which side is the side, right? Joshua had that conversation. We have like, we actually take the most restricting setback requirement for this house already, because it's almost 25 feet all around already. So you got almost nothing left. So that's what we can take as far as we can on this project. Again, setting back second floor on the south side, I think that should be fine with my client to kind of do that. And if that was everybody's concern and everybody's only concern, then that we can address that too.
Yeah, I mean, of the 3 concerns that I raised, I think the garage is my least of the concerns because it's a bad spot for a garage no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's the layout, right? I get that.
Yeah.
But this isn't 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet. This is moving
Mhm.
the massing
Mhm.
to the north side of the house,
Mhm.
is what this is. And I understand your perception of a darkening of the neighbor's house, but that's not the house that we're reviewing right now.
Mhm.
And it's already a 25-foot setback there.
Mhm.
And so that's less of a concern to me
Oh,
than is the massing on the side that everybody's going to see,
Mhm. Right.
right? Because the one side that has the most privacy
Mhm.
is the one that you're worried about putting the massing on,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which
Right.
Well, let me clarify on a little bit on because I might confuse you on the courtyard because this building is more south facing, right? And then whatever the core is on the north, the more massing I push into the front, the more darker shading I'm going to provide to the front.
It's
which
global
is the front.
warming. It's gonna be shade is gonna be a premium. You're gonna love
Yeah.
it.
absolutely you're
You're
gonna
gonna
you're gonna be
love-
forward looking for moving
I
all
don't
this
know,
massing to the north
I
side.
got different opinion on that one, so
Yeah.
that's fine as long as everybody here.
And then you identified correctly a concern that we have voiced about the privacy,
Mhm.
but I think that the height difference
Mhm.
to the first floor is going to create enough, if you decide to flip-flop that,
Mhm.
in order to break up that first floor.
Mhm.
I don't have a concern with that. That won't be my concern.
Mhm.
My concern is significantly more
Second floor,
just
yeah.
this huge wall,
Okay.
and then behind it,
Mhm.
4 feet back,
Sure.
another wall extending. I really,
Mm-hmm.
I will get past most of these other things if we can move that massing to the north side.
Sure, sure. Yeah, because I think for the design perspective, we still try to treat the front door as a front. But I think after this discussion, I understand that everybody's actually treating the back as more like a front to the public, not the owner, right? So,
Right.
okay, I got it. That's
And I
fine.
think that go ahead. I was just gonna say that regarding the kitchen wall, I would like to see it as open as possible and as much articulation or fenestration or whatever you want to put on it.
The previous design actually have the French door facing south opened up with the trellis facing that side, but privacy become a concern, so we kind of scrapped that and moved, rotate the whole everything 90 degrees to the east. So that's
And I don't know if you have the room to put a trellis on the backside with the hill that's coming down.
well, we only have like 4 feet. It's more like gesture
Yeah,
than
so that's not
actual
very
function.
usable space.
Yeah,
though.
we can put the
I think it
window
makes sense
back.
to
Yeah.
go the other way.
Mhm.
Articulating windows or something to that effect to that south wall.
Mhm.
You're worried about looking over at the southern neighbors across the street. I don't know if that makes that has that much validity, just because that's their front yard. I mean, it's expected that you're going to have some sort of.
It's more like directly on especially at first floor, because it's right directly looking into their second floor, which is the bedrooms. That's my concern. Yeah.
That's their front yard. I mean, there's
Right.
a certain expectation of like.
Maybe I'm just overthinking this too much.
No, I appreciate it. It's definitely something that the commission has
Mhm.
has voiced concerns over previously,
Mhm.
and I think that less so in this particular development
Mhm.
because of how much lot coverage there are on
Mhm.
these really small lots. And
Right.
I appreciate you being responsive to what the commission has voiced previously.
Mhm.
I think on this one we're more concerned with the bulk and massing
Sure.
on the south side.
No problem. Understand. Thank you.
So would you like to continue it to a date certain or
Oh, yeah,
a
definitely.
date uncertain?
We can fix this in about 2 weeks. So if the staff is okay, we can schedule.
It's a difficult schedule within 2 weeks to get your.
No, I'm just
So-
no pressure.
I like your positivity, though. That's good.
Yeah, that's great.
Possibly August 3rd. We have one other Stonegate project we're going to be reviewing for the first time, so we would be looking at this once again. Would that work?
Oh, that's the 20.
That's August.
Oh, that's
3rd.
the lot 1 or lot 2, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So that gives them 2 weeks to get it to you, and you 1 week to go through it and make sure it's okay, and then prepare reports for publishing. Does that allow staff enough time?
Got some money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. My only pressure is for now is 23 and 26 because the owner was gonna build 25. By the way, they want to do that, but do you think of more? There's a lot of concern we have. That's why we decided to get this 26 and 23 done as well, so they can build all these 3 together. Because during construction for the other 3, they have a lot of issue with longer construction time, because usually this house probably will be done in 10 months, but now it's 18 months if you're lucky. So we try to minimize building each lot each time. They will prolong this whole construction in 10 years, and neighbors going to drive them crazy just because.
Is
it's
that why the
constantly-
grading for this one lot is going to take a year? That is an
No,
inordinate
it's not
amount
a
of time
year.
for grading.
Well, the only reason they take a year, Josh was right, because of the underground basement. That by itself take 6 months already. Waterproofing, going down, get the dirt out, or lay out all the concrete, everything. So that's why in this project and the 25, the owner decided not to do basement anymore, because it's just too much, and it doesn't really improve the value. It doesn't really help the neighbor, because no one wants like that big of a house with underground. So we're starting taking those out. That's why you will see for the rest of our house, we already whatever we have underground, we already take it out. So it's
Okay.
kind of easier that way. So
Great. So can we have a motion to continue this to a date certain August 3rd?
I'll move that we move the project to a date certain August 3rd.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Planning Commission reports. Hearing none. Planning. Oh,
I have a report. The monastery project has gone as far as Alaska. We were up on vacation in Denali National Park, and our waiter asked where we were from, and I said Sierra Madre, and they said, "Oh, that's where you have a problem with some land being developed near a monastery."
Wow.
How did the news come all the way up here? Anyway, that's we've reached Alaska. Anyway, that's it.
Nice.
Director Gonzalez.
So we are not canceling our July 20th meeting. We have 2 items. As I mentioned, another Stonegate project, which is Lot 23, 620 Baldwin Court, and also a deferred legislative update from our city attorney, Alex Giragosian.
Fantastic.
One other comment I did want to mention, I heard from Ken Farfsing from Alvaro Heights Academy today. If I received an invite to a Alverno community meeting to go through the villa conditions of approval with the community. Apparently that's occurring at 6 p.m. on Monday, July 10th. And
Did
if
invites make the way to the Planning Commission as was directed in the
I
CUP?
have not received a formal invite myself, but yes, it was also supposed to invite the commission to attend those meetings, or appointed members to attend those meetings.
Is there a minimum number of dates that you're supposed to give heads up on for a meeting like that?
You would imagine at least a month if they've been planning that.
One would.
Like school was out, or still is, so
Well,
limited staff.
so one
That's
of
why I brought it up, Monday, 6 p.m., July 10th, at the Alverno campus.
all right, that answers part of one of the questions that I was going to ask you for. I know that it had gone back and forth with the council what the final resolution was going to be with Alverno Heights Academy, and I assume that it was not until that time that the clock actually started tolling for the year of compliance and when we would receive our report.
Yes.
And so I was just going to ask you for an update. I don't know if you can give it tonight or not, but an update on where we are with the city providing event coordinators, as well as the reports that would be posted online and the like.
So we do have the reports posted through the city manager's transparency portal under Alverno Heights Academy. We just posted a number of them this week for a number of the events that occurred over the weekend and prior weekends. That compliance report for, and we're speaking of the Villa CUP, is going to come back to the Planning Commission on October 19th, 2023. So that's coming up pretty quickly.
Okay. I look forward to that. Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order?
Good.
All right. Then I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.